Peace. Islam. Sheekamauga Alamassee-El. Coming at y'all live. Deep down. Alamassee Arabian country. Alcamogi Meccan. So-called Macon. So-called Georgia. And just wanted to show y'all another noble structure in the old antebellum South. And just more of a display of how our people were living. And what the Union and what they were coming into the South to try to raid and try to shut down, because at the end of the day, the Union represented more so at that time. They represented, and it's still to this day, they represented more the industrialist corporate type of reality they were trying to manifest on the plain, where it's everything's all about profit. Nothing is really dealing with any Old Testament covenants. Nothing is supposed to be preserved. Everything is pretty much supposed to be for profit and for corporate gains. So that's what they needed to raid the South for. And at the time, in the antebellum South, it was still more dealing with a noble culture, like dealing with the old monarchy, dealing with the old Muslim culture of the kind of the old world, the old empire, the Holy Roman and the old Moorish Empire. That was still kind of the main dominant culture in the antebellum South. So in order to manifest a corporate reality on the plain where, kind of the weak and, the genetic, the different people from us, let's put it like that, where they can kind of, gain power and rule and have some type of influence above the naturally noble. Noble cultures had to be shut down all over the plain. So that's really what the Civil War, essentially was about. They needed to run down south and get rid of, that noble Southern culture. You know what I mean? Because that noble Southern culture was essentially the culture you might have found in medieval Europe, the culture you might have found in so-called Moorish Spain or Morocco. That was still the main culture in the South. The Old Testament, holy preservation of the covenant type of culture, conservative, you had the whole Southern Belle thing, man. That was all sisters, man, for the most part, wearing the nice long dresses, wearing the head wraps, wearing the turbans with the jewels. They might have called it the French culture or whatever. That's just, those are misnomers just because they don't want to really give us credit for, having that noble Moorish culture in the South. It was all through the Midwest and the West, but the South was the main military, the main guard of that culture was deep down south. So I wanted to show y'all the villa. These are the type of buildings we were living in. And when they were running down south, they had to raid and destroy this type of stuff, When they were raiding, they talking about the Union was raiding towns and raiding. If you do some research on the Civil War, they'll tell you how they were running into southern towns and cities and just raiding and burning everything down because they were getting rid of the noble culture. Check it out. I mean, look at this, man. This is, and again, another historic structure that's in a dilapidated state. So you can tell that the entities that gain control of these types of structures, they didn't really know how to maintain them at the end of the day because they didn't build them. If you built something like this, you built something this noble and this beautiful, you would not allow it to devolve into this state. And if you travel across North America, you're still going to see a lot of these type of structures, were destroyed, and they built ugly apartment buildings and parking lots on top of them. A lot of the parking lots, ugly buildings and department stores and all that, it's sitting on top of, they're sitting on top of land that you used to have structures like this, and they've all been destroyed. But, so check it out. But it's just, it just goes to show that if you allow something this beautiful to get to this point, you didn't build it. you know what I mean, your ancestors didn't build it, because it doesn't mean anything to you. I would never, you know, and me being in any type of control, I would never allow this to devolve to this state. Check it out. Anytime you see something so-called historic, that means that's one of our old structures, you know what I'm saying? And it's been preserved. And let me take you to the sign, take you to the wording of it. It's called the Villa Albacini. You know what I mean? Beautiful, man. Villa Albacini. Beautiful Moorish structure. This is how we were living in the antebellum South. The Southern Belles, those were the sisters. This is how we had y'all living, sisters. We had y'all living in stuff like this. But this is the thing. See, and this is how you know this, the so-called people, they say inhabited this stuff due to the falsified history, post-reconstructed, the reconstructed history. I mean, let's give one little tidbit of why the so-called people who they claim inhabited these type of structures did not really in reality inhabit these structures. Because first of all, do you really think you could live in noble structures, homes and villas like these, dressing like some of these people dress now? You know what I'm saying? Like, check it. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Like, you can't wear t-shirts and jeans. You know what I mean? Like, if okay, in the old South, they claim a certain type of phenotype or whatever. We're running the old South. So if that's the case, why all of a sudden after the Civil War, why all of a sudden if you look at pictures of the old South, you see people in long, noble looking clothing, long coats. They had their heads wrapped. You know what I mean? Like the Southern Belle, the Southern gentleman. These people dressed like nobles. They wore long, beautiful garbs. You know what I mean? They were balling out of control. You know what I mean? Like that was the Southern culture. It was a noble culture. It was our culture. So why all of a sudden after the war, these same alleged people, they didn't dress like that no more. It just stopped. You know what I'm saying? Like if they dressed like that back then, nothing would have changed. So evidently, after the war, that whole culture was outlawed. You know what I mean? Because you have to present yourself and adopt a certain frequency in order to manifest beautiful landscapes like these. You know what I mean? You can't walk around in no suit and tie, no t-shirt, Daisy Dukes, all this type of nonsense. You can't walk around like that and expect to be living like this. It's just not possible, man. It takes a certain frequency. So yeah, this is what we had y'all living, and this is why the South fought so hard, man. This is what they were protecting. They were protecting this, and they were protecting everything in the West. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not, I'm a Confederate, but I'm not saying that the entire South, the entire Confederacy, every individual was a good person. You had the nonsense going on both sides, but overall, the Confederacy and the South was Moorish, and they were just trying to prevent the corporate takeover, where everybody's taxed to death. The country's been gutted and raided, industry's been destroyed, and the entire rest of the world gets everything for free on our, you know what I mean? Like, based on the gutting and the raiding of this land. And then, again, show you how gangster the Confederates were, man. And how military and how militarized and how militarily sound we were in the South, right? Because let's remember, the majority of the military installations and all that, they were all in the South, because the military Moors, you know what I mean? That culture come from the South. We ain't mess around, man. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, in order to defeat the so-called Confederacy, it took the whole world damn near. You know what I mean? Like, they were literally bringing in thousands of poor, dusty immigrants into Ellis Island up in New York, and just throwing them into the army. So at the end of the day, and then Russia released all of its population from slavery, and they just all sent them all over here to go against us, man. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, we were so noble and balling You know what I mean? Everybody was hating, you know, that noble Southern culture. So they had to just, I mean, at the end of the day, they just ran down on us. We were outnumbered, man, because everybody was against us. You know, they didn't want to, for some reason, the entire world felt like, no, we don't need them Moorish noble people, you know, in running, you know, we don't need them in influential positions anymore. So that's what happened, man. So just, you know, getting that out there, man. Villa Albacini, honor your ancestors, acknowledge what they built, and, you know, this stuff got to be preserved, man. You know, preserve the culture and get back into your noble ways, man. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be living this good in this beautiful garden, and, you know, living with the Garden of Eden culture and carry yourself like a peasant. You just can't do it. So be yourself. Don't be trying to make somebody feel comfortable. Get your noble nature back, and let's remanifest this type of beauty on the plain. You know what I mean? Because this is beautiful, man. It's in a dilapidated state because the you know, the trustees who are kind of in position to maintain this stuff, they don't give a damn. And up to them, they'll turn this, if left up to them, they'll turn this into a parking lot because they don't care. Because at the end of the day, it's, and you know, well, at the end of the day, if your DNA knows that this is not yours, then you're not going to really have the deep down, you're not going to really want to strive to maintain it like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's peace. Sheekamauga Alamassee-El coming at y'all live deep down in Alcamogi Mecca. Pretty holy day. 1443 MC. And I'll check back in with y'all later, man. Peace.